for him to return to Tobago. And mind you, he did not come alone, as he took his great-nephew, Darren, with him. Uncle would sometimes reminisce on his move to John Lyell and the fact that his mother did not have much, yet she gave him $500 to complete the roof of his home. It was in John Lyell that Uncle Ivan's love for gardening blossomed into a business with his planting fields of peas and corn, which brought in an extra income. Uncle Ivan grew up in a Christian home, and his beliefs never wavered over the years, as he talked about God to everyone he came in contact with. His nephew, Vincent, told a story of how, as a young child on the brink of death, Uncle Ivan's prayers saved his life. His niece, Gail, remembered the smells that would come from his home on a Friday evening in preparation for Sabbath. There was never a shortage of macaroni pie, sweet bread, cake, coconut bake, baked chicken, fried fish, chocolate tea, juice, and so many other delicacies. Donna, his other niece, recalled that most of the village children would be in his house on a Friday evening for worship promptly at 6 p.m., and the house would be filled with lots of singing. Darren said that he will always remember when Uncle Ivan made him climb up a pawpaw tree because he heard that it helped to cure asthma. Uncle Ivan's love for children extended to his home village of Union, as most weekends he will have Eunice, Harriet, and Yvonne's children at his home. Some of Uncle's happiest moments were when when his house was filled with his family. His door was always open.
His door was always open, whether you came from Trinidad for a weekend or from the USA to spend a few weeks. During those times, his culinary skill was at its highest. In addition to this, he babysat majority of his great-great-nieces and nephews, calling them his grandchildren. And if they spent the weekend on a Saturday, they were always well-dressed going to church with him. Also, when they left his house and returned to their parents, Uncle made certain that they had learned a Bible verse or two. Uncle Ivan was a very humble man who, when upset, would quote Proverbs 15, verse 1, which reads, "A soft word turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." His youngest brother, Vonley, recalled that on one of the rare occasions that he saw his brother visibly upset was when they teased him about a lady named Yvonne that he liked down the train line in Enterprise. However, that did not last long, as Uncle started to tease him his own self, so they had to stop. One of Uncle Ivan's main attributes was his generosity. As soon as his peas and corn was harvested, and whatever else was in season, mango, avocado, plum, green fig, cherry, banana, he will pack a market bag and take it to Union to distribute to his nieces, Alison and Elma. As a matter of fact, he ensured that everybody on that hill had something from that market bag. And if you did not get that day, he would return another day to bring you something. Kizzy, his niece, will recall that every time he visited her workplace, he will ask her if the kids were okay and give her a little change to buy something for them. As he got down in age, Uncle Ivan lived with his nephew Darren for a time, and then with his niece Donna and her children. She reminisced on the times that she and Uncle would spend cleaning jacks and trying to fry all and eat in the same evening because they knew it would scratch their mouths the next day. Shabri spoke about Uncle loves for roti. And we all laugh heartily when we remember that every time the doctor would put him on a restricted diet, he would call Darren and Gail privately to tell them that his mommy, which he referred to Donna, at times did not want him to eat what he wanted. But nevertheless, He waited until she went to work, and he would go into town, buy his roti, and come back home and eat it before she come home. The end result, he would become sick, and he would call Darren now to take him to the hospital. Now Donna would find out what he ate. Donna said, and I quote, "Uncle was always dancing when he spoke about the goodness of God. Whenever he prayed about a situation and his prayers were answered, he would exclaim, 'I tell you, my daddy God would answer my prayers. All you need is a little patience and faith.' He connected everything that was happening around the world and said it's a sign that his daddy God was coming soon. As a matter of fact, Uncle read that Bible from back to front so many times that he would quote a scripture for everything. For example, if you were feeling sick, he would suggest you read Psalm 103, which talks about God healing all diseases. Uncle Ivan never allowed anything to worry him for more than a day because he always said that there was no situation God could not fix. There are so many stories that can be told by the people that Uncle Ivan came in contact with and the positive impact he had on their lives. Some of these stories will include his cooking, especially that coconut baked with fire on top and below, his love for the mouth organ, his love for gardening, and so much more. However, these stories, I am sure, will all have a common factor: his unmoving love and faith in God, the selfless love for his family, his humility, and his generosity. Uncle Ivan has left a legacy for us to follow, which is to form that unbreakable bond with God that can only be achieved according to Colossians chapter 3, verses 12. If we, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe ourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Thank you.
Okay, that's a little history of our dear brother Graham, and I know of a truth it was a life well lived.